end of great creative ideas from our teams about what they would love to see. And so we've really got to be strategic about thinking through where we're going to spend our time. We also spend, candidly, a fair bit of time still just looking at and assessing our own processes for efficiencies, because the more efficiencies we can identify, the more it frees up people to do some of the cooler analytics, to do, the resources to do some of the other things. So that's also a continuous piece of it. But we have a whole intake process basically that people go through, and it forces them and us to really articulate and crystallize the business case of what they're trying to solve for, where they are from a in their own thought process from a maturity perspective. Also helps them understand how much of their time we may need to help develop the solution. It's not like something you can just flip over the fence and you get this perfect product back. You're going to, as a subject matter expert in whatever team you're on, you're going to have to help understand, and articulate what you're looking for. Or if you're creating a dashboard, if we're creating a visualization, you're going to have to help us think through what are the data sets that we're trying to capture. Who are the audiences going to be? What filters do we need? So it isn't a one-way process. And so that intake process gets a lot of that out in the open, but also sets those expectations up front so that we.
The DOJ put out that evaluation of compliance programs, and June 2020 was the last update, and it laid out some requirements or questions for criminal prosecutors to think about in terms of compliance programs. We've used that document extensively as a way to reverse engineer the program. And so there are those fundamental questions of, beyond do we have direct and persistent access to data? But I forget the other two questions. I was just talking about this earlier today. Apologies. But it's really critical that you're looking at that guidance. Let me see if I pull them up here real quick. To figure out what are those questions we need to answer to make sure that this program is sustainable. One of them was risk assessment, making sure that you're not doing point in time snapshot risk assessment, but really connecting to operational data to ensure that you're getting that continuous risk perspective. As well as if you find challenges or impediments, the DOJ says, well, once you've identified them, what are you doing about them? So making sure that you're not just, accepting the status quo, but challenging and improving in areas where that data is not good enough, I found to be one of our critical strength points.
We are embarking on a journey to aggregate all new emerging legal obligations that the company is facing, which in a company as large as ours, like yours, that's a lot. And a lot of it is at the very bleeding edge of regulation around the world. It's very important that we stay ahead of that because it impacts significantly how we design products, how we operate our business. And so being able to consume data that shows us all those regulations and then prioritize them, at least in an inherent way, allows us a better barometer to design and forewarn our product teams about what might be coming from a legal perspective. That's one example of a way that you could use data from risk assessment, solely risk assessment. And the intention of it is to, again, prioritize programs within the company that are mapping to the most common or thematic legal obligations we have around the world, and then drive important discussions around the prioritization of them.